What's up, friend? Come on in, because we about to clock some tea, okay? Are y'all ready to clock some tea and get into all of the Joseline's Cabaret reunion tea? Well, you better believe we gonna talk about it. Welcome back to Damien After Dark. You're watching the official Joseline's Cabaret after show only on the Damien After Dark channel. I'm your host, Gentry, and on this episode, we will be breaking down part 2 of the Joseline's Cabaret Texas Season 5 reunion. So, if you want to talk about it, you've come to the right place. But before we begin, make sure you click that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. Make sure you click that thumbs up button if you haven't liked the video yet. That is your way of supporting us, okay? Get in the comment section below because I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions about part 2 of the season 5 reunion. And last but not least, if you would like to support the Damien After Dark movement, you can. In the description box below will be some ways that you can donate using PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, and Zelle. All right, baby? Okay, baby. So let's get into it. Well, I gotta do my little quick disclaimer first. Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. All commentary made out of my mouth is alleged, okay? Everything that I say is alleged. Do not take serious. Like I say, it's all for entertainment purposes. Copyright on any and every damn thing. Okay? Are we clear? Are we clear, y'all? Good. Wow, part 2. I think part 2 was better than part 1. Part 1 was a little bit of a letdown. Part 2 kind of redeemed itself a little bit. We got a lot to talk about. I got 5 pages of notes that I hope we can get through. Okay, now the reunion opens with yet another performance. Okay, I like the way you are. I like the way you are. Jocelyn performs that, which is actually called Disco Shoes. I learned from Jocelyn on Instagram like a week or two ago that the song was called Disco Shoe, and I'm like, Disco Shoes? That song is called I Like the Way You Are. Okay? And if you're calling it Disco Shoes, Jocelyn, you missed a great opportunity at calling that song I Like the Way You Are. And us, the fans, we're going to continue to call it I Like the Way You Are. Okay? We're gonna continue calling it that. I don't know. Maybe she was on that stuff when she maybe that was back in the powder days when she named that song. I don't know. But I guess we can expect a performance at every reunion now. Well, look, I'm not mad at it. Okay, I'm not mad. At first, I was like, "Ugh, can we get to the reunion?" But then I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not mad at this because I've said this before. Y'all can rewind it and see it. I like Jocelyn's music. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna give her the praise that she deserves the same way that I give her hell the way I do when she deserves it as well. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to give you your flowers when you deserve your flowers. And you can tell when she's performing this song specifically and the others, but you could tell that she's really in her element. Did y'all see that? Did y'all get that same thing? Because when if like watching her perform I Like the Way You Are, Disco Shoes. You know, she was just smiling so big. She was looking over at the girls as she was performing. And I was just like, good for her. Good for her. And you know what? Because what? Jocelyn's what, 40? That's a testament in life to never give up on your dreams. And, you know, I mean, to be able, to her to be 40 years old, to be able to look around and be like, wow, I've really done this. Because she could have just been another Love and Hip Hop recycle. You know, she could have just been out here. She could have been like the rest of these girls that was on Love and Hip Hop, like Akbar, like what's that one's name that came on with Sapphire? Suki, Mariah Lynn. She could have been like those girls and just had to come on baddies every now and then, make a quick little buck. You know, run over here to this reality show, make a quick little dollar. But she's just like Natalie's established something with baddies. Jocelyn has established a brand and a business with the cabaret. I don't know what it is about that song. I come in through sexy walking, but of course I get straight to dancing. And your haters keep it straight, shoe blocking. Don't give a fuck if your man ain't watching. I like the way you are. 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 I don't know. Jocelyn puts that cocaine in her music. I'm telling you, okay? And you know what? The another thing about Jocelyn's music, I'm gonna move on. I think why I like her music so much because at first when she was dropping music, we were all kind of like laughing at her, like, "Oh God, this is horrible." But as she progressed, it really got like it really was some music you could like shake your hips to at the barbecue or at the pool party, at the cookout. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the thing about her music is it's easy to learn. It's not some deep emotional song, that's gonna have you crying or that that's telling some story. It's just fun and makes you want to dance and yeah. Anyway, um, and while they were performing, Dany and her kiss assness, she looked like she was getting ready to throw up spirit fingers out there, bitch. Like, girl, this is your proudest moment in life, ain't it, sister girl? Um, Now after the performance, it cuts straight to Isis and Pisswater. Okay, we know last week part one ended with Isis versus Pisswater, which is oceans, and Pisswater was getting in there for a minute. Well, oceans. I was worried for I'm sorry. Oceans was getting in there on Isis for a minute, and I was a little like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, wait a minute, ISIS, get in there. I was worried. Um, but I'm glad that the audience is there. The audience was the star of the reunion for part two. Okay, and we're gonna get into all the many reasons why. But the audience, they were the breakout stars of part two of the reunion because they humbled the girls a bit, right? Because Ocean in this moment with Isis, she gets some licks in and she's feeling herself and the audience starts booing her. They're booing her. They wanted Isis to win. The crowd is chanting Isis name. Isis, Isis, Isis. So some of these girls, especially if you're insecure and fragile, stuff like that will break you down. Because these girls live and thrive off of the clout and what people think of them and attention. So now Jocelyn tells him to sit down and shut the F up. They're fighting like, I mean, are we not at the Jocelyn's Cabaret reunion? She stands up, she's like, sit down, you shut the F up right now. I'm not playing with you hoes. She says, I want to have a reunion and we ain't doing all this fighting right now, so sit down. I'm like, oh, okay. Now, Janisha says, the Puerto Rican princess has spoken. And I'm like, now see, this is why you don't need to be the host, Janisha, because you are going to tiptoe around everybody and kiss their ass and not push and ask certain questions that need to be asked, not hold certain people accountable that need to be held accountable, including Jocelyn. This is the problem. Y'all enable certain talent, certain people. Push back a little bit and ask her a question like, why, Jocelyn, a lot of the viewers want to know, why do you talk to the girls like they're beneath you when you have a daughter? Hmm? Because here's what I want to know. How is Jocelyn going to react if she saw somebody talking to little Bonnie Bella like that? Hmm? We already know how she's going to react. She's going to fucking bust a vessel in her forehead and have a coke stroke. We all know Jocelyn wouldn't take the way she talks to these girls lightly if it was done to her daughter. So I don't understand why she can't be self-aware enough to put herself in the shoes and think I shouldn't be talking to young impressionable women like this when I am in a leadership role and I can be a role model and an asset to their lives instead of being destructive and breaking them down. Now, there was also a few times throughout the reunion where Jocelyn disrespected Janisha. Okay, there was a moment where Janisha was asking Jocelyn something over and over, and she was like, "Jocelyn." It was towards the end of the reunion when Jocelyn was holding um 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 Rose's wig. Y'all remember when Joseline was holding Rose's blonde wig? And they were like, "Is this yours? Is this yours?" If you go back to that moment, Janisha kept saying, "Joseline." And they were like sitting side by side. It's not like Joseline was far away and couldn't hear it. They were sitting side by side, and Janisha's like, "Joseline, Joseline," and Joseline intentionally ignored her and kept holding that wig up. So that was one of the reasons that one of the times Janisha was disrespected. There was another time here where Joseline, after she cusses the girls out and tells them they're not going to be fighting, we're going to be talking, we're going to, this is the reunion, blah, 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 blah. After she does that, Joseline stands up. For those that may have watched or for those that didn't watch, she stands up after she does all this and she says, "I'm the motherfucking host." She goes around the stage to the over there by the audience, walks around everywhere saying, "I'm the MFing host," saying it over and over again really loud. And the audience is, everybody's enabling her. Woo, woo. Which by the end, and we'll talk about this too, by the end of part 2 of the reunion, the audience was over Joseline. Did y'all notice that? We're going to get into that too. But, she's walking around. Janisha is the host. She may not be a good one, but she's the host. She's pretty much like the official Zeus host. She's hosted more reunions than anybody on Zeus. But you got Joseline over here blatantly disrespecting her in her face saying, "I'm the MFing host. I'm the MFing host tonight." And pretty much what Joseline was saying is, these girls that are up here fighting, we need them to sit down so we can talk and get some dialogue. We're not going to do all this fighting because here's the thing. Zeus has got a lot of backlash from the fans, and I know this for a fact. They've got a lot of backlash about their reunions not having enough dialogue and it being only fighting, which is why they're trying to move in a more, they're trying to keep the fighting, of course, but get some of the dialogue. So that's why I believe Joseline was kept getting up saying, I'm the host, because she knows that Janisha is not going to break anything up. Janisha is not going to get in there and say, "Wait a minute, sit down. We have to talk about this or you're going to be escorted off the stage." She needs to be a little bit more firm. She needs to be a little bit more assertive and get in there a little bit more. She's like a delicate wallflower that just sits there. Granted, she doesn't need to go as far as Joseline goes and calling them bitches and hoes and tricks and shit, but she's just not a good host. Beautiful girl, amazing personality, it seems, but that's it. Y'all know what I'm saying? Yeah, And it was just like the narcissism is real. How dare you? How dare you with the way you're treating Janisha in this moment when she's the actual. Now, I get Joseline's like a host too, a co host or whatever. But let's be real. Janisha's the host. Joseline, you were on the actual show. Uh, And you know what? My thing is, when the audience was doing all that clapping, they shouldn't have clapped because that's what encourages this type of behavior. She thinks it's cool. She thinks y'all think she looks hard when she does that. So everybody was encouraging her when she was saying, I'm the MF host. But listen, somebody had to do it. Somebody had to do it. Now, Joseline asks Ocean and Isis what their issue is, and Ocean can't even get a sentence out of her mouth without the crowd booing her. This is another example of the audience. I was really questioning when I first heard that Zeus was bringing audience members in. I was like, oh God, I don't know about that. Because in the past with shows like this, the audience tends to get too involved with the drama and they end up fighting talent and stuff like that. And I'm just like, where did that come from? But this audience on part 2, baby, they were clocking in and doing just enough. And they were humbling all the girls because Ocean is getting booed. Ocean has not one fan. Let's just be real and call a spade a spade. I think in all the seasons of Joseline's Cabaret, I've never seen a cast member be so, I don't want to use the word hate it, but unliked. Ocean is probably one of the most unliked cast members on this series. And you know what it is? I think it's because of her ass-kissing behavior. That's really what it was. Like, she was such an ass-kisser that it was uncomfortable to watch. The way she would play Miss Joseline, and, she might as well have dropped to her knees and went to Joseline's clit. She might as well have done that. Now, when they ask her about what her issue is, with Isis. Oceans explains that they had rehearsals in Florida for the cabaret, and Ocean said she lives in Florida, so she let Isis come and stay with her while Isis was there for the rehearsals, and that Isis was allegedly beefing with Ocean's sister while she was there. And not only was she beefing with her sister, she also stole Ocean's car keys, allegedly, to where she couldn't get into her garage, get into her home, or get into her car. And she says instead of talking it out when her and Isis, Ocean says instead of her and Isis talking it out when Isis got back with Ocean's car keys, she says Isis took pictures of her feet. She's like, instead of you talking it out with me when you got back, you took pictures of my feet. And I'm like, wait, what? Huh? That was just so random. Like, what's she gonna do? Sell them on Feet Finder? I mean, did y'all catch that? Did I hear it wrong? That's why I was like, I had in my notes, like I needed to check with the audience to see, like, did I have it wrong? Did she say something else? Because it sounded like to me she said, when you got back, instead of us talking it out, you took pictures of my feet, and I'm like, what the hell? What kind of get back is that? The Ocean got corns on her toes. Do you got crusty cuts, Oceans? I don't know. So Jocelyn takes up for Oceans, and she says that yes, that all the girls did have to come to Florida for the cabaret to rehearse, and she says that pretty much all the girls were staying with Oceans at her house, using her car, eating her food, and I'm like, okay, and that's Ocean's MFing problem. I don't know if Oceans is just really young, because that's something I probably would have done when in my early 20s, when I was like really young. I was bad about letting people take advantage of me. Somebody asked me for money, I'd give it to them. They wouldn't pay me back, I'd get mad. Somebody asked to come live with me, they wrecking my home and bringing people in and shit and fucking on the couch and all kind of crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? So, but I had to learn quickly. I got out of that quickly, and I think that just comes with age, because now, like in my 30s, I tolerate a lot less than I did in my 20s, and I think that as you get older, your 40s, you tolerate a lot less than you did when you're in your 30s. So it could be an age thing with Ocean, but I really don't feel bad for her for that, sis. You can't be. I don't care if y'all are all in the cabaret together. Everybody ain't your friend. All y'all are co-workers at the end of the day. That would be like letting all your co-workers come stay with you, letting them drive your car, feeding them. No, thank you. It's not happening. So that's on Oceans. So as far as Jocelyn trying to pull the sympathy card, like, they did Oceans wrong or whatever, maybe they did, but she should never let them stay there. And also, it's not only on Oceans, it's also on you, Jocelyn. Let's talk about that for a minute. Because, and two, ain't nobody coming to live with me, period. Unless you like my mama or my brother, and even then, I'm gonna question it, bitch. I'm just kidding, mom and Austin. If you're watching, love y'all. Um, Here's my thing, Jocelyn. While you up here talking about, oh, they took advantage of Ocean. Uh, they should have been taking advantage of you, because if you need those girls to be in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, to rehearse for the cabaret, why are you not handling the accommodations? Did these girls have to pay for their flights too, since they're having to stay with Ocean? Because if I am having to leave my residence, my place of comfort, my home, to go to a job, and when I say that, I mean like cross state lines. If I have to fly somewhere for a job or travel to another state, another country, whatever, I'm going to need my employer to arrange those accommodations. Am I right or am I wrong, y'all? I've had job when I was, when I was and maybe it's different. No, it's not a different industry, 'cause this is the entertainment industry. But when I was a television producer, stuff like that was just handled. You don't really pay for stuff like that. And I'm just trying to think, like, I know that you had, a lot of girls in the cabaret, Jocelyn, like 10 to 12 girls, and that could be costly, but that's the cost to be the boss, right? I know you weren't having those girls fly to Florida and then find their own place to stay and pay for their own hotels. Are you effing kidding me? and all that coke money you blew through in the past. You can't put these girls up in a hotel. I'm sure the Hampton Inn or the motherfucking Holiday Inn will give you a group discount. Miss Disco Shoes, hello? I mean, that blew me when they all up here are. And then Jocelyn thinks she eating, talking about, yeah, oh, y'all used Ocean. What about using you? Why didn't you or Ballistic come out y'all's pockets? Why didn't y'all let them come stay at your crib? Mm. It's the fact that she is playing these girls. She's playing on the fact that these girls want this so bad. She knows that these girls want this so bad, want this opportunity. So she manipulates them. Allegedly, in my opinion. In my opinion, that's what it is to me. She knows those girls want it bad enough that they will pay for the plane ticket, allegedly, and will pay for a hotel if need be. Now, Isis denies stealing the car because she's accused of stealing a car at one. I think they kept trying to get down to that. Like, did she steal the car? Did she not? I think she just took the keys, which is damn near as bad as stealing the car. Um, Isis and Oceans are in each other's face like this, and then Isis just clocked Dex Oceans right in the face. And it's like nobody can take you serious, Ocean, because she is literally screaming her entire segment at the beginning of part 2 of the reunion. She's just screaming when it goes down to her and Isis. And it's like, girl, nobody is taking you serious. We can't understand you. Calm down, breathe, baby, and let's reel it back in. Like, damn. Now that second round, Isis whooped her ass. Oceans. Isis got her, and I was laughing my ass off, baby. Isis got her that second round. Pow, 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 pow. Okay? Okay. And then after Isis and Oceans, we see Lexi Gold versus Chinx. And apparently, Chinx has beef with Lexi because Lexi was making raps about her when the show was airing. Um, and so they're going back and forth and they're arguing, and Chinx drops the bomb. Well, it's not, I guess it's a bomb, but it's also not a bomb because this already came out. But in case you didn't hear, um, this came out on the internet when the reunion was filmed, but we're just now seeing it on the reunion. However, it came out on social media at the same time as they were filming. Um, Chinx drops the bomb that Lexi needs to be in jail because she says it's all over the internet that Lexi was allegedly pimping out girls under the age of 18. Now, Lexi denies those allegations and says that that's out of her character and that she would not do that. Um, I was just like, oh, wow. Oh, wow. Now, mind you, this gets brought up twice in the reunion. Now, and then we see it towards the end of part 2, and neither of these hosts, Janisha nor Jocelyn, presses the issue. That's why y'all are not good. There's no good hosts, and there's not that great of producers here. Why did a producer not get in Janisha's ear and say, ask her more about the allegations of the underage girls? Ask her, that's what a producer backstage should be in Janisha's ear saying. Ask her more about that. And Janisha, even if the producer didn't, in your mind as the host, that should ding automatically. Wait, I want to hear more. What happened, Chinx? What is on the line about her? Y'all feel me? Like, we end up missing key crucial information when y'all just glaze over it because you're not paying attention. Now, they're continuing to argue, and did y'all notice how Chinx told Lexi Gold, she was like, it's the same thing with the whole, you took pictures of my feet. Lex says, you were behind my house shooting a video, you weird ass beat. And I'm like, what is this? Like, same thing with taking the pictures of the feet. What does shooting a music video in the backyard of your house mean? Like, how is that a read? How is that an insult? What is so bad about that? She said, you weird beat. What's so weird about that? I don't get it. Like, that, to me, that fell flat. Now, while Lexi Gold is arguing with Chinx, she stops arguing with Chinx and starts talking to Jocelyn, and then she looks up and she points at Fetish and she says, I want her. I want her. And for a second, I'm like, Who's she talking about? And then we see Fetish, and I'm like, who the hell is Fetish? I don't even remember a Fetish. But then, baby, Fetish says, I'm finna clock in, and I'm about to make up for the camera time that I did not get, okay? So we see Fetish coming around the motherfucking corner looking like a expensive look him prostitute, baby. It was giving bougie prostitute realness. And I was here for it. I thought she looked, I mean, it wouldn't have been my taste, but it was very, like, it was street chic. I guess we'd call it street. I think we'd call it retro street chic. I think I would call it galactic street chic. I don't know. She just looked like she looked like she was a space hooker. Like she would be selling pussy on Mars or Jupiter. You know what I mean? To the aliens. I don't know. But I was like, who is that? I almost forgot about Fetish. You know, she was only there for like an episode or two. That's the one Joseline called Blue. She's like, you gotta go Blue. Um, so we see Fetish versus Lex. Apparently they have a beef. And they go at it. But I'm just like, only thing I could think of is like, Fetish, why are you fighting with sunglasses on? She comes out there with these big black sunglasses on and starts fighting with them on. And the first thing that happens is pop. They pop right off her face. Uh, yeah. Anyway, neither of those girls can really fight, but we saw them do their thing. Do y'all have a winner in that? To me, I didn't really choose a winner. It was just like a draw. It was like a eh. I didn't. They didn't really do much. Now we see Joseline acknowledge Wet Wet, and she tells Wet Wet that she loves her, and Wet Wet says, "You do?" And Joseline says, "Yes, I do. I wouldn't have you here opening the show if I didn't." She says, "I think you're a fun girl." And, starts giving her these praises. And I'm just like, I'm kind of like, Wet Wet in her head was probably like, mm-hmm. Now we see Wet Wet get up and hug Joseline. She's like, thank you, blah, 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 blah. But part of me, like, wonders if it's genuine. I hope it's genuine, but it's like, are you doing this because you know that Wet Wet is probably like the only girl left that you haven't screwed over that's actually entertaining? They kind of, I mean, I'm not saying that they need Wet Wet. They can come back and do a season 6 with all new girls, and the show will be okay. But they know when making reality TV, us fans always love the nostalgia of an OG. And Joseline has burned bridges with every single OG on the show. Nobody wants to work with her. Everybody had to deal with her during her alleged coke fueled days when she was running around like the Incredible Hulk, aka the Puerto Rican princess, and she was, running around raging on everybody. And I'm not saying they need Wet Wet. I'm just saying them dusty hyenas that you call Dany and Andrea, they ain't gonna cut it. All this, all this talk of we're gonna let Andrea take over the cabaret. Please watch that show tank so mother quick. Okay. Um. Speaking of hyenas, they are on the rocks. Dany and Andrea are having some trouble in their friendship because, according to Andrea, she did an Instagram live, and one of the fans asked her about her relationship with Dany. And Andrea said that during this whole cabaret tour, she's been getting close to the new girls, Des, Neek, Hennessy, Rose, all of those girls she's been getting close to, and she says that Dany does not like that at all. And I bet she doesn't, because if you start getting, if Andrea, if you start mingling with the new girls, then Dany's over here on a miserable little island by herself. And to be honest, Andrea, Dany is one of the main reasons the fans don't like you. I feel like you're guilty by association. Is Andrea annoying just like Dany? Absolutely. But she's a little more tolerable. And I remember when these two girls came on, I actually liked Andrea a little bit. And I know a lot of you have talked about that too, how you used to like Andrea. Her association with Dany, I think, is what has made her less palatable and hard to digest. Not to compare her to food or nothing, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's what it is. Actually, I know that's what it is. Dany's always been the problem. I'm curious to hear y'all's situation or hear y'all's opinion on that. Wet Wet says she wasn't expecting Joseline to, say the things that she said and that she was hurt by the situation. The two hug it out. They move on. Joseline feels bad about hitting her. We have some growth here. We have some resolution at the reunion. Great, okay? Now, we also find out that in episode 1, did y'all clock the tea that Wet Wet spilled that in episode 1, Joseline set her up? Remember in episode 1 when Wet Wet fought Andrea? That was allegedly a setup, according to Wet Wet, because she says, Wet Wet says, I was worried about opening the show, and I was wondering if it was a setup. She says, do y'all remember on episode 1 when Joseline stepped back and Andrea snuck me? Now, Joseline doesn't deny the setup. She says, now wait. Joseline says, you said Andrea's husband was cheating. So I took that as Joseline acknowledging the setup. I believe it 100%. We do see Joseline step back. I do believe that Andrea vented to Joseline before the season aired and said, I'm not happy with Wet Wet. I don't want her on the show. She's been talking about my kids. And Joseline probably told Andrea, and this is all speculation, but one can only assume, Joseline probably told Andrea, well, on episode 1, we need to whoop her ass. She's talking about your kids and your husband and saying you were cheating. You need to whoop her ass. And I 100% believe Wet Wet when she says it was a setup. And I mean, we even have Joseline in part 2 somewhat acknowledging and admitting to it. She doesn't deny it. She just tries to justify it. Anyway, Andrea says that it was more so about Wet Wet speaking on her motherhood. Andrea says, well, you talked about my teeth. Wet Wet says, well, you talked about my teeth. And Andrea says, I'm sorry I talked about your teeth. And they hug it out and they move on. And I'm like, oh, damn. Back-to-back hugs? Back-to-back growth? What is happening here? We see Wet Wet approach Dany. So I'm like, okay, maybe we're going to get some resolution between Wet Wet and Dany. But no, Wet Wet wants to fight Dany. She walks up to Dany and she says, look, I want to fight you. And I can't take her serious with this big head guard. Wet Wet is wearing a helmet. For those that didn't watch and that are here just for the recap, Wet Wet is wearing full-on headgear to protect her head. I can't blame her in a way, but it's hard to take her serious wearing this with this long black dress and barefoot, okay? Just to give y'all a visual for those that didn't watch. Now, Wet Wet is approaching Dany. She wants to run the fade, and Wet Wet, you weren't fast enough, because as soon as you let that come out your mouth, Wet Wet, you should have been ready to go. Because as soon as she said that, Dany stood up and Dany charged Wet Wet, and her speed, I don't think Wet Wet was expecting her to get up and come at her that quick, because Dany, in reality, did she do anything? No. Now, by watching the reunion, it kind of looks like that she did something, but if you really watch it, Dany can't bust a grape. The only reason it looks like Dany drop kicked, or what she did is she pushed Wet Wet to the ground, and then she kind of kicked her twice like that. And it kind of looked like she did something, but she really didn't, because let's put it into perspective here. She's fighting Wet Wet. She's fighting Wet Wet. We all know that Wet Wet can't fight. We all know that she can't. So if you put somebody up against Wet Wet, chances are they're going to look like they, whooped her ass. Unless they were a worse fighter than her. And Dany even looked a mess fighting Wet Wet. I'm sorry, she did. Like, she literally looked like she was up there doing the A-Town stomp. She literally, thought Ludacris was finna come out or something. Does Ludacris sing? Who does the A-Town stomp? I don't know. But y'all know what I'm saying. Shit. Now they asked Wet Wet, what's your issue with Dany? And she says that she's mad that Dany jumped in her fight on episode 1 with Andrea, which she did. I don't blame her for being mad. At first, I was like, well, why didn't you get her back later, Wet Wet, on the show? Why did you wait to the reunion? But Wet Wet was only there for a few days. We know that she left after episode 4. So she didn't get to get her lick back from Dany, and I don't blame her because Dany and Andrea are notorious for jumping in each other's fights, which that gets addressed later on in the reunion, and we're going to talk about that as well. Um, Now, Dany during all this is yelling, like she's yelling out questions to the audience. There was a few times during the reunion where she kept talking to the audience, and I'm like, the audience does not like you, Dany. Like she was yelling out questions to them, like yeah, yeah, and they were all just like crickets. Crickets, crickets, because Oceans, Dany, and Andrea are the most hated from this season, from the series. I'm telling you guys, if you go on and look at the social media fodder, that's what the streets are saying. Um, Now, and I think my biggest issue with her, my biggest issue with Dany is she always thinks that we're laughing with her when we're laughing at her. She thinks that she is some comedian and just so funny and this A-list reality star that creates viral moments. Like, girl, no. This the delusion, baby. The delusions. Now, Wet Wet is trying to talk. She's trying to talk to the host, create some dialogue, and Dany is interrupting her. And the crowd is literally booing her, right? Right? It's crystal clear by the crowd response, who they like and who they don't. So they obviously want to hear what Wet Wet has to say, but they can't because Dany will not be quiet. She keeps chiming in, she's cussing, she's hollering, she's screaming, and the crowd starts booing her. And then it gets better. They start calling her and Andrea flip-floppers. The crowd is boo, 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 flip-flopper. And these girls, these girls don't like it. Thank you, audience. Thank you, audience, for doing the Lord's work, okay? Um, Take notes, Zeus. Take notes that no one likes. Take notes, first of all, that the audience is a good thing. And take notes that nobody likes Andrea and Dany. The people have spoken. Now, when Dany realizes, did y'all notice how when Dany realizes that the audience is booing her, she starts clapping and saying, we want to see Wet Wet on tour next year. We want to see Wet Wet on tour next year. Oh, do you? And nobody responds to Dany when she does that. What it was is she was trying to jump ship and garner some audience sympathy because she knew that the audience was not on their side. They've been booed. They're not acknowledging the girls when the girls speak to them. So they know that the fans love Wet Wet. So it's we want to see Wet Wet on the tour next year. No, you don't. Shut up. You're a follower. You're a lame. And if you a lame, that's a shame. You can't hang with us. Okay? Now, Miss OG Dany Fantastic. Girl, ain't nothing OG about you and ain't nothing fantastic about you. Okay? Let's change that name. Can we get a name change for 200? Now, Jayla, who's also known as Russian on the show, she was kicked out of the cabaret for making diss tracks about everyone. And Joseline says she was worried that she would make a diss track about her, so she kicked her out of the cabaret. Now, my thing is, I just really, like, Russian was not even a big part of the show. She was there, yes, for like the first half. And she was involved in stuff, but she just wasn't the most exciting character to me. I didn't care for her that much, and I don't really care for her online beef after the show. I don't care if she was making diss songs about the other girls. It didn't happen on the show. Why do we have to address all of that? So they bring her out, they bring Russian out, and Erica stands up. Erica, light skinned Erica stands up, and she's ready to fight, and they get to thumping. Okay, these two girls get to thumping, and I'm like, damn, they pop, 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 pop in each other's head, trying to get a hold of one another. Security in the middle. Um, but I think I'd have to give that fight to Russian. Russian versus Erica round one, I'd have to give it to Russian. Now, Russian was in a trio. I think that they called the Black Squad. Well, some of the girls say she wasn't in the Black Squad, but those girls were Russian, I believe Erica, and who was the other one? Was it Neek? Might have been Neek. I don't know. It was a trio of girls that Russian had made an alliance with. She's fallen out with all those girls because of internet beef and the comment section and all that bullshit. I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if y'all girls was fooling around with one another and there's a bunch of lesbianist bullshit drama going on. Now, Erica and Russian get ready to fight again. This time, Dez stands up. This time, Dez stands up and gets in front of Erica as she wants a piece of Russian. Russian is on the hit list for this reunion. And I wasn't expecting it, but Russian gave it from what it seemed like Russian gave. I mean, it seemed like Dez gave Russian the business. What y'all think? Because she had the girls on their feet like, oh shit. Dez was getting in there. And I was shocked because we didn't see Dez really fight during the season. She really wasn't a fighter at all during the cabaret. But at this reunion, baby, you can tell she was clocking in. And she got the best of Russian. She did. And my thing, I think the problem with you, Jayla, Russian is all. If y'all are confused by who, when I say Russian, that's Jayla. Because on the show, her name was Russian. Now they're calling her Jayla at the reunion. So yeah, Russian J-Lo, J-Lo Russian, whatever. Her problem when she fights, I've noticed, is she literally keeps her head down the entire time. And I hate that when somebody fights. Now, I get the intention behind it, that you're trying to guard your face, but how are you supposed to see where you're swinging and to see where your opponent is if you're constantly like this? You know what I'm saying? And their reason for beefing didn't make no damn sense anyway. I'm like, what is going on here? Um, because Russian said that the beef was one of them said that the beef was because Neek said because what was it? Dez got closer to, or Erica or Dez got closer to Neek or something, and that made Russian mad. I'm just like, girl, what this ain't even worth fighting over. Which, speaking of Neek, she is so damn pretty, and I feel like if anybody should be brought back next season, Neek deserves that spot on season 6 of the Cabaret, which I feel like should be in Hollywood. That's like the only place they haven't been to yet, like the only major city they haven't done Jocelyn's Cabaret Hollywood. Um, but then everything that's going on right now with the fires, I doubt they'll do that. But anyway, Neek, I feel like she is like one of the prettiest girls on the cast. Neek, Erica, and Dez to me were like the prettiest girls on the cast. And Neek looks like if Portia Williams and SZA had a baby, it would be Neek. Now, let's get into reasons why Dany is not funny. Okay, example number one, because y'all know I'll be bitching about Dany a lot, but I want to justify it. I don't just want to like I'm hating on the girl for nothing. Okay, um, Dez stands up and says, "Does anybody else want it?" She's like, "I don't want to fight, but does anybody else want to fight? We can go right now." And when she says that, Chinx stands up. And Chinx comes around the corner. And when she comes around the corner, Dany just starts screaming, "Oh! Oh! 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 Oh!" And I'm like, what? This is why we don't like you, forehead. This is why we don't fucks with you. Because you're like that kid that you grew up with that was just screaming for attention. Like, girl, that was so unnecessary, Dany. And that's what I be talking about. All those girls sat there and they didn't say nothing. Why are you hollering and screaming at the top of your lungs like that? Like, you're not cute. You're not funny. You're not. Damn. It's just unnecessary as okay. Now, baby, we get a sideline shot We get a shot of Ocean. Ocean's on the sidelines watching everything go down, and baby, she is busted, okay? Busted. I mean, homegirl got like a black. She got a black eye, like her nose busted, lip. I mean, they done wore a puddle of piss out. Okay, they done took their frustrations out on baby Ocean. Okay, um, so the audience is having to do the host job. Okay, the audience is like asking questions from the audience, and Janisha couldn't hear what they were saying. So Janisha's like, "What are y'all saying? What are y'all saying?" So Janisha goes out to the audience and she listens to what they say. And she's like, oh, okay. Good point. Good point. And she hobbles back in her little heels and her pretty dress. And she sits down and she's like, the audience said they're booing Chinx. The audience started booing Chinx. And Janisha says that the audience is booing Chinx because Chinx didn't want to fight Lexi, but she wanted to fight Dez. Because we saw earlier in the reunion that when it came down to Lexi and Chinx fighting, it seemed like Chinx was trying to do like a peace offering, a peace treaty, you know. And when it came down to fighting Dez, she was down to do it. So the audience booed Chinx because of that fact. Now, we see Chinx stand up. She's like, okay, y'all think I'm a pussy and I don't want to fight Lex? Let's go. So these two girls stand up. They get ready to fight. Neither of them can really fight. We see them try and run it, but like they were literally just hugging the whole time. Y'all know those fights where you just hug and you're just latched together the whole time like a tornado spinning and shit. Um, and why is Joseline trying to get involved in their fight? Did y'all notice how like a couple of times in this episode she kept trying to like pry girls apart and get involved? And I'm like, you don't do that with every girl. Why do you do that with certain girls, Joseline? I don't know. And then let's talk about how the audience got started to not feel Joseline towards the end of the reunion. Did y'all peep that? Okay, because they mentioned that it's Chinx's birthday, right? They mentioned that it's Chinx's birthday, and the audience starts singing "Happy Birthday to You." And while they're singing, Joseline says, hey, do it like it's your B-day. Do it like it's your B-day, baby. Do it like it's your B-day." And nobody stops. Nobody starts singing "Do It Like It's Your B-Day." Everybody continues to "Happy Birthday." So Janisha stops the crowd, and they're like, wait. Hold up, everybody. That's not the official birthday song. The official Cabaret birthday song is "Do It Like It's Your B-Day." Do it like it's your B-Day. Um, And Joseline's like, got this stank look on her face. She's like, I ought to put you bitches out. You know, because at first I thought she was joking. But Joseline was really upset that the crowd did not, like, start singing "Do It Like It's Your B-Day." And then she gonna say, like, I'm about to blow 100 shots. What'd she say? I'm about to blow 100 shots at all y'all for fucking playing with me. Is that a threat, Miss Hernandez? She did like this. She did like this. I'm about to blow 100 shots at all y'all for fucking with me. She was pissed. I don't care what nobody said. She was mad because she expected every one of those people in the audience to be Joseline's Cabaret super fans that love her music and know every word and should have immediately started singing "Do It Like It's Your B-Day, baby." I'm just like, okay, keep on if you want to, sis. Going talking about I'll pop 100 shot. If I was in that audience, I wish you would. You can pop 100 shots at me if you want to, sis. And then I'm gonna take you in ballistic for all $200,000 you got in your bank account. The fuck? You already been sued once, allegedly, by Amber Ali from Joseline's Cabaret season 3 after y'all trampled the hell out of that girl at the reunion. We ain't forgot that. Okay? I know some people hate when I do my, so I had to do it just for y'all. Now, Lexi and Chinx turns into Lexi versus Fetish again. They start arguing again, and um, the whole thing about Lexi, Fetish brings up Lexi allegedly pimping these girls under the age of 18 out. She keeps on bringing it up. She keeps throwing it out there. Lexi's like, that shit's not true. That's not true. And again, I'm like, why are we not pressing the issue, Joseline and Janisha? Why are you not asking Fetish and Chinx more about what they know? And why are you not asking Lexi Gold what her response is to this, what her defense is to this? Is this true? Why are people saying this? Because here's the thing, that's a hell of an accusation, right? That's a hell of an accusation. If I'm on a television show and somebody accuses me of pimping out underage girls, boys, any whatever, we got a problem. And we need to clear this shit up right here, right now. So when this airs, my side can be told and it can be known that these hoes is lying on me. If that's the case. Do y'all know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like how they just brushed right past it. And we are talking about Zeus. Or did we brush right past it, Zeus, because of the accusations that y'all have on y'all? Let's talk about it. Is that why we brushed past the pimping allegations? Because y'all are allegedly known to pimp your talent? Hmm? Hmm? I'm just saying. Now, they bring out Rose, who is now wearing headgear, and she wants to fight Oceans. Rose comes out and she's like, I want to fight Oceans. And Oceans is like, okay, come on, let's go, let's go. And they get ready to fight, and Rose does a 180, and her plan was to come out pretending she wanted to fight Ocean, when in reality she wanted to fight Hennessy. Rose has her eyes on Hennessy. We know that Hennessy and Rose fell out towards the end of the season, when what it seemed like Hennessy turning her back on Rose, jumping on the whole your breath stinks bandwagon. So Rose is ready to get her lick back and get some revenge on Hennessy, right? So she runs up pretending she's about to fight Ocean, only to do a 180, go around Ocean and charge Hennessy. But I don't know if that was a good move, my love. And I love you, Rose, but it looked like Hennessy got the best of Rose. What do y'all think? When it come down to that fight between Rose and Hennessy at the end, who would you give that to? I'd have to give it to Hennessy, because it looked like she was giving Rose the work. And afterwards, Rose looked wore the fuck out. And did y'all notice when Hennessy was trying to knee Rose in the face, and Ocean's over there like pulling her knee back, like, no kneeing, no kneeing. It's like, girl, what are you doing? Get out of these people's fight before you get kneed in the face, and you already look bruised up. You don't need no more, you know, imperfections on your face. I mean, they done did you in, sis. So like, let these girls fight. Now listen, I don't think you should kick nobody in the face either. But are there any fair rules in fighting? No. These girls on these shows be throwing shit, jumping folks, tag teaming, all that. So yeah, I'm gonna give Hennessy that fight. I'm gonna give her that. Y'all let me know. Who y'all think won that. Now, next week, we finally see Joseline confront Queen Envy about the alleged videos that Queen Envy made about Joseline and Ballistic before she joined the show. Y'all know we talked about that last week, how Queen Envy used to do like me. Envy used to be like a commentator, and she would talk about the show. This is all alleged. Well, no, it's not alleged. She said on last week's part. She said that she was talking about the show. She said she doesn't remember what she said, and that apparently it got back to Joseline. This video got back to Joseline, and we're going to see Joseline address that next week. Now we see her all up in Envy's face, like right here in Envy's face, talking about, like, don't you ever talk about my husband again, bitch. Do you got it? Do you hear me, bitch? Doing her usual Joseline stuff, and I'm just like, baby girl, Envy, this was your chance. This was your chance, Envy, because you're not coming back to the show, right? She's not coming back because, A, Joseline already didn't like her to begin with. If you watch this season, you can tell. I said it. I don't think Joseline ever liked Envy. I think she just casted her because they wanted to have a BBW, and she wanted to diversify the cabaret a little bit. I don't really think she wanted her there. And then So my thing is, instead of sitting there and letting Joseline talk to you crazy in your face, you should have decked the shit out of her. You would have made all the blogs. You would have been in the talk of season 5. You would have been the breakout star of season 5 if you would have decked her right in the MFN face, because nobody else will do it. Everybody is scared to do it. And I know what Indy was probably thinking. If she does that, not only are the Cabaret girls going to attack her, but Ballistic is going to come out of nowhere and attack her. Melissa's going to come out of nowhere and attack her. The security's going to, you know what I'm saying? So I can kind of understand that part, but I wouldn't have been afraid to do it. I would, if I was her and Jocelyn was in my face like that as a female, I would have decked the hell out of her. And then, you know what? Ballistic and them want to come jump, go right ahead. We got a lawsuit coming, right? Um, Now, also next week, we're going to see Jocelyn tell Andrea and Dany that they need to stop fighting each other's battles. And then Andrea says, do y'all want to see us fight right now? And we see Andrea and Dany start whooping each other's ass. And I'm just like, what the hell? No, we just wanted to see y'all stand on your own 2 feet, be your own woman, use your own brain. Stop pussy bumping one another. That's what we wanted, not for y'all to get, like, y'all sitting up here beating each other's ass. I'm just like, these hoes are so weird. Like, this is so, that was so weird to me. That's why we don't like y'all, right there, that weird shit. Oh my God. Or did they plan that? Because I started to think, I could see Dany and Andrea backstage, like, we should fight one another. It'll be good for the show, girl. They'll never expect if me and you fight one another. Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can already see it. Anyway, now, it looks like part 3, Zeus is giving the audience chance to give their points of view and ask questions, and I am here for it, okay? Because according to that sneak peek we saw, the audience was clocking Andrea next week, and they told her she was a follower and that's why ISIS whooped your ass, B. And I was like, damn, I can't wait for next week because I want the audience to clickety clickety clock all the girls, okay? Listen, and you know we're going to talk about it right here, baby, right here on the Damien After Dark channel. You don't want to miss it. Part 3 of the Jocelyn's Cabaret reunion. After you watch it, come on over here and check out the after show where we'll be breaking it all down, and I can't wait to do it with you, okay? So, thank you so much for being here. Make sure you click the subscribe button before you leave, and also press that thumbs up button. That is your way of supporting us over here. It's free to do. It takes 1 second. Click, and that's it. I'd really appreciate it. Get in the comment section and leave me all your thoughts and opinions on part 2 of the reunion. I'd love to hear from you. We talked about a lot, so break it down to me, baby. Let me know what you think, all right? And last but not least, if you want to donate to my part-time job now, in the description box below will be some ways that you can donate using PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, and Zelle. I'll also post my Amazon wish list. Thank you so much for being here, for supporting me, for listening, for commenting, for subscribing, for donating, all that. All right, I appreciate it, you guys, and have a great rest of your week. See ya.